Hi, I'm Jamie Machek with the Wisconsin Valley Library Service. For this digital bite, I'm going to be talking about making a mistake. What do we do when we make a mistake at work? We all make them. So, what are some steps and some tips that we can use to make all of it a little less painful? Let's talk about that. When you make a mistake, you're likely going to feel frustrated or angry or mad at yourself, and that's okay. So the first step is to process these feelings, process these emotions. Maybe you need to talk about it with a trusted friend, or journal about it, or take a walk. Once you process these feelings, you'll be able to then handle and approach the mistake more logically. So once you do that, then you need to acknowledge it. You need to acknowledge that the mistake happened. And you want to do this as quickly as you can and as politely as you can. If this is a small issue or if the mistake was relatively minor, then maybe an email or a text or a chat message will work just fine. If it's a larger issue, then you might need to hold a meeting or talk to someone face to face or give somebody a phone call. So the key is acknowledging what happened. Once you do that, then we have to move on explaining the mistake. Here, the important piece is that you are owning up to what happened. I suggest being honest about what happened. Again, taking ownership, not passing the blame on someone else. Another key thought on explaining what happened, and I talk about this when I've done training in customer service. When we make a mistake with a customer at the library, it's important to acknowledge it and to say we are sorry. However, we want to say it one time and then move on. If we keep saying, I'm sorry, or I'm so sorry, the focus then becomes on being apologetic and not the solution. And when we make a mistake, we want to focus on a solution, which you will see next. And it's the same thing in customer service. If we say, I'm sorry, too many times to a customer in our library, the apology might seem insincere. And quite frankly, our customers really just want a solution. So if we explain what happened and we apologize and own up to it, say it one time. The fourth thing is that it will go a long way with your supervisor, with a colleague, with whoever you made the mistake with, if you explore a solution, or if you've already solved the problem or solved the mistake before you talk to the person about it, or even if you just have an idea. You could go to your supervisor and say, I'm thinking that this is what I could do next as a way to solve it. What do you think? So make sure that you've already explored some solutions. That's going to show a lot of initiative and leadership on your part. And this might be the most important part, the fifth step, steps for prevention. What steps can you take so that this mistake doesn't happen again? Do you need to put a weekly or daily or monthly reminder on your calendar? Were you multitasking when this mistake happened? And do you need to not do that when you do this task again? Were you checking email during a meeting and the email got buried? So what are you going to do from now on so that the mistake doesn't happen? So those are the 5 tips or suggestions. So let's talk about an example. So I'm going to share an example with myself. I'm going to talk about a mistake that I have made. The example for me is that several years ago, I was in a workshop observing and assisting, and I happened to check some email, which wasn't a smart thing to do. I had an out of office responder on, and I decided to open it anyway and check a few emails. The problem was, because the emails were marked as read, when I was back in the office the next day, they weren't flagged to me as being unread, so I didn't recheck them. Not a great idea. So 3 weeks later, I got an email from this person saying, hey, I sent an email. Did you get it? Were you able to look over this information? And of course, so I had to process my frustration. I had to acknowledge what happened and explain what happened, which I did. The solution was quite simple. I had to get the information back to her as quickly as possible. That was really all I could do in this mistake. Steps for prevention. I no longer check email when I am in a meeting or workshop, especially when I'm out of the office. I have the out of office responder on. That is an indication to people who contact me that I'm not going to respond that day. And that works a lot better because it will ensure that messages will not get missed. So in this case, that was my step for prevention. I hope you found these tips helpful. As I mentioned at the beginning, mistakes happen at work, and finding a way to walk through them or to deal with them can help make the process a little less painful. So I hope you enjoyed this digital bite. If you have an idea for a future training, please let me know. So long.